Welcome to the Moodle session on assignments and anonymous feedback. So the learning objectives of this session are as follows. At the end of this session, you will be able to set up an assignment submission process and set up anonymous feedback form in Moodle. So the following are the steps in an assignment. Usually we need to give instructions about the assignment, and this can be in a page on Moodle or in a PDF document that we upload onto the Moodle. The choice of topics usually is taken from the students by passing around a sheet of paper in the regular classroom, but on Moodle we could do that very nicely using the wiki feature. The rubric for assignment has to be told to the students so that they know what is expected from them when they submit the assignment. And this rubric can again be shown in a page on the Moodle or in a PDF document that we upload onto the Moodle. And then there is a form that we need to set up to allow for the submission of assignments. This is the most important aspect of setting up assignment on Moodle. And once that is done and the students have gone ahead and submitted the assignments, then the instructor has to do the grading, and Moodle will allow you to do that grading also on the site directly. Now during this whole process, time to time we need to inform the students about the various steps. For example, we need to tell that the choice of topics is now frozen, and the reminder about the deadline of assignment submission is nearing, and so on. So we could again use Moodle to alert the students about these things as we go along. And I have opened a small course here. The title of the course is Moodle Training, just for our practice. So we choose any of the topics that are there, and you can edit that and say that this is basically for assignment. And the very first thing is about the instructions. So we can add an activity, and ideally we can put a page there, add the page, and here we write instructions about the assignment, and we should give some description so the students know what they are clicking in going to see. So in this page you will see detailed instructions about the assignment, and the content can be in a very detailed manner. You could actually insert links and images and tables and so on. So here we can give detailed instructions about the assignment. Okay, put up some tables or images as needed. So the content we have kept it very simple, but you could write whatever you would like. You can copy paste from a Word document that you have already prepared. And here the appearance, I think we would like to have the description on the page, so leave it like that. And if you have edited the details of this assignment, then when was the last modified date, that can also be displayed on the page, and let us leave that open here. And if you want that you don't show this assignment until you would like to decide, then you can hide it, but for now we just leave it as show it on the course page. We are not adding any restrictions, but you could restrict it for a group within the course. And you can actually make it such that the students can say that they have completed the activity, and you could also make a particular date for the deadline. We just leave it like that at this moment, and we are not entering any tags here, and we are not talking about any competences that allow us to tag completion of each activity with a certain competency. We could do those things as we get used to this process. So here is the entire activity, which basically only to show the instructions. Okay, so the first page is available here with the detailed instructions being shown in the link as we click. So we put the editing off and click on this page to see how it appears to the student. So come back and put the editing on, and the next thing is to seek the choice of topics for the students. The best way to do this is to have a wiki. So add an activity, and from the list of items you could pick wiki here and click on that yes, and we say here choice of your assignment topic, and the short description will be in the following page you can edit the wiki to provide your choice of topic, and the very first page can also be called as start, and we should display this on the front page. The mode of the wiki is collaborative, so that all the students are authoring a single page. That is the objective, because we want all the options to be on a single page which we can just sign off in the end. And the format can be HTML, so students can give any color coding if they wish, etc. And we can also enforce it if you wish, or you could also make it in other formats. I would like to leave it as HTML. So the rest of the options are not very important at this moment, and we first save it and go to the course, and then you could then go and start opening it up for us to give some instructions within the wiki also. So click on that, and you need to create the page because it's not yet open. Once you create, it will be available for the students to edit. We will test that out also in a moment. So let us create that page, and the wiki is nothing but a running text. So here we say please give your name, roll number, and the topic of your assignment. Okay, and as an example we also give here wrapper mm20 B01, and then the name, let us say Abhay. So this basically hints to the students that that is how they want to give, and we can then save it. Now when we go back and visit this wiki again, we could actually see that it is already available, and we can just click on the edit button here and start to edit it further. So the next student would go like this and would give his information in a manner here. So this is how the editing would go on, and each student would add one below other and save. Now it's important for us to demonstrate in the class that the wiki stores the history. So who edited the wiki at what time, and what is the difference between any two versions can be seen. And this is important because we don't want students to play mischief by deleting the text entered by other students. Okay, so once the wiki is set up, essentially we are basically allowing students to go there and add whatever they like to that page, and you will be quite surprised to see that they actually obey the format that you have indicated and neatly type their roll numbers and names and the topics there. And you basically set a deadline for that, and after that you sign off on that saying that these topics are now frozen. Now for every assignment you must have a rubric for evaluation. So that rubric is also to be given as a uploaded file or as a page. So here we basically can add a page and then say rubric for assignment, evaluation of the assignment. So the following page contains detailed information on how the assignment will be evaluated. Display that also on the screen, and here is where you have to basically put the rubric. So I'm just taking from one of my other courses. I just open it in a new tab and scroll down. Okay, so this is the text and I just copy paste all of that here. Okay, so we have the tables, everything coming in, and the rubric tells a definition of what do we mean by a poor performance on a particular aspect, what does it mean by a moderate performance, and what is a good performance, how many marks can they get for each of these levels, and what is the total mark, and how many such aspects are being looked at. So this rubric is very important because then students know what are you looking at while awarding marks to them. So once the rubric is given like that, you can save it and come out. So the 3 items are there. Now comes the most important, the assignment itself. So for that you click here and pick the assignment option at the top and say add. So here we say submission of assignment. So in the following page you can upload your final assignment, for example, and you can actually provide more details about how that should be done using PDF files including screenshots, etc. But most of those students are quite savvy. They understand how to go about these forms, so we may not need to give much except in plain text here. Most importantly here, we must set up the deadlines. So there are 2 types of deadlines. There is this due date, which is basically a soft deadline, and there is a cutoff date, which is basically the hard deadline. So when you enable both, what happens is that all submissions that come after the due date are marked for you to be alerted about, and after the cutoff date no submissions will be allowed at all. So very often you may actually choose both to be the same, but sometimes it may be necessary for you to consider a day or 2 of grace period where late submissions can be accepted, but perhaps with a small penalty. And once this is over, you may want to be reminded about the grading process, so you could set a date for that also. You can change all these dates as you feel necessary. And what is the submission type? So it's important here to pick the file submission, because that makes it the easiest for us to archive later on and also to evaluate in an offline mode. And how many files can be uploaded? So very often one file is sufficient, but often I have realized that giving 1 or 2 options to submit revised versions is very useful. And you could also set an upper limit for the size of the uploaded file. So the maximum size that is listed here is what is the maximum upload limit for the Moodle itself, but you could choose something smaller. So usually if you pick about 10 MB for few pages of assignment with 1 or 2 images, so that would be sufficient. And what type of files can be accepted? So you could choose them, and here there are many ones listed, and you could pick from there what you want to accept. So let us see here if we are able to pick the PDF. So document files and PDF. So you have got specifically that is available, and we can restrict our choice to be only that. Okay, save changes. So document.pdf with a space between those is the format that Moodle expects to say that only PDF files are allowed to be uploaded. Often it's important because when you say document, .doc also is allowed, but students may not be formatting them neatly, and sometimes it may have links to something else, and it's a good idea to just leave it as PDF so that you can just open it without having any software requirement on your side. And the feedback, here you could give a feedback. You don't have to do the annotation necessarily. If you want, you can give some comments, so leave that open. And the submission settings, when they finish submitting and they want to revise it, when do we actually know that they have completed the submission process? So you can actually say that there must be an explicit submit button, so that after that it is deemed that they have finished the assignment submission. So you can choose that to be there as yes. And you can make a submission statement and ask them to accept it. Very often we don't need to use that. And do we need to reopen any attempts? Maybe manually, if you want to set it up, and give, let us say, 2 attempts for them to resubmit if you want to provide a feedback after they have submitted the first time. We have not set any groups now, so we don't have to put that in here. And notify. So once the submissions are made, those who are allowed to grade those, can they be informed about it? It's a good idea, because then you'll start getting emails saying that so and so has submitted, so you can go and grade it. And what about the notify students? This is a setting you could see from here, that while grading they would be informed about that process. And the grading also can be decided right away out of how many points. You could choose that as per your class committee declaration, how many marks you want to give, and you could grade them directly on the submission page. And there are other features that we normally don't exercise, and once this is done, you can just save and go to the course. Now there's an error which says that the cutoff date cannot be before, so you put the cutoff date September, and then I think it will accept that. Okay, so assignment is now put there. So once they click on the assignment as a student, then they can go and submit. So you could then try that out as a student and click on that and add a submission. You can upload that file and save changes. So let me try uploading something now here. So I upload some arbitrary file, and so it cannot be accepted because the file format is not PDF. So I try again, and this time I pick a PDF file and upload it, and it is accepted. Okay, and once it is accepted, then I click on submit changes. It's done, and it's now asking, do you want to actually finalize your submission? So this is the button that we asked Moodle to configure, and we say here click yes, and that means that now the submission is complete. So you could see that it has been submitted for grading, and an email will be going to the users who are allowed to grade this assignment, that an assignment has been submitted, and you can now go and grade that. Okay, so this is how the process goes on. Now once they submit, how does it look like? That screen I can show from some other course where the assignments have been submitted. So I go to the MM2090 course, and there, for example, I can pick view all submissions, and here this is how it looks like, and I could click here and then give the grade then and there. So one of the useful things about this is that you could actually click here and download all the submissions. So that is useful to create an archive of the assignments, because the Moodle course may disappear after some time when we migrate to newer versions. So it's a good idea to just archive the assignments, which may be helpful as example to the next batch of students if we wish to share some of those to them. So that is about the assignment submission process in Moodle. Here are some tips for anonymous feedback through Moodle. It is better that we take a short survey, but not so short that it is a rapid fire. The reason being that we don't want to elicit an emotional response from the student, but a considered opinion about the course up to then. The survey should contain open questions. This is because often we force the students to give their feedback in a certain manner, and maybe there are aspects that the students want to convey to us and are not being solicited by us. So it is important to have one or two questions that are open in nature, and Moodle allows these through text box feature. At the end of the survey, we should share the feedback with the students so that the whole class would see what they feel about the course till then. And as Professor Jeffrey Freud would tell us, feedback is to make decision makers make better decisions. So naturally, if we have sought a feedback from students, we have to basically convey to them what have we done with that feedback. We should take some decision about the way we will be changing the course in the remaining period of the semester, and that should align with the survey outcome, and we should share this explicitly with the students so that they can see that their feedback has had an effect on the way the course is conducted for the remaining portion of the semester. This not only encourages them to give a more sincere feedback later on, but also places trust in the process that the instructor has put in place. Here are some question types and possible uses for taking the feedback using the Moodle. There is an item that's called label. This is basically to give a separation between questions. You could also give some instructions in a set of questions by writing some text. Checkboxes are basically options that we can tell about the course planning, and students can pick one or more options, and we can also set what the maximum number of options that they can choose. Sometimes we want them to choose only one option out of a given set, and that is easily done by using a drop down box. And while drop down box shows only one option as they scroll, radio buttons would show all the options, and one of those can be picked by the student. The item date is useful because we could use it to, for example, pick a date for an assessment activity, and all the dates that are given by the students will be displayed in a summary, which we can use to decide on the date that we want to conduct, for example, a presentation session for all the students. So now I illustrate how to set anonymous feedback using Moodle. So we assume that we are in the middle of the course and we want to take some feedback from the students, and we would like to make it anonymous so that students can give their opinions without any fear that they will be noted down and it may affect their grades later on. So it's important for us to also show to the students that we don't have information about the feedback that they have given, who gave which feedback, so that they have trust in the process. So to start off, we open the Moodle course. So I have opened the Moodle training course, example course that I have set up for this exercise, and we turn the editing on and we come to the second topic. Now while working, I don't want to scroll again and again, so what I do is that I move this item by clicking and holding down up and leave it here. So then it comes to the top, and then I change the title of that topic as anonymous feedback. Okay, now here we click on the activity resource. We use the same module questionnaire for anonymous feedback because it offers a number of types of questions, and pick that and click on add, and we can give that name. Here you can say interim feedback in that course. Okay, and choose saying that following page contains a brief survey about the course. Please take time to provide feedback on the course. Okay, and we can also use a closing date for that survey. It's important, so pick a date, something that is relevant for you, and then the response type. Naturally, here is where a lot of possibilities are there. It's important that the feedback is given just once because we would like to have a quick deadline and then give back the summary of the feedback to the students. So respond once. This is not an exam, this is only a feedback. So respond once is there, and this is what actually makes the feedback as anonymous. So the respondent type can be anonymous. So this is what actually makes it as an anonymous feedback. And when can they see all the responses? Very often, as soon as they answer, if they are allowed to see, that's sufficient, because there is nothing that we are holding back from them until everybody has answered. So we can just leave it like that. Sometimes you may want to say that only after the survey is closed they can see the responses. Sometimes you can say that they can always see it or never. So if you say always, then the students can see the survey even before they attempt. So they can see what others have responded before they attempt. Normally that may bias their opinion. So one good idea is to say that the students can see the feedback responses after the questionnaire or the survey is closed. And should we inform about the submission? Yes, we can have it as a notification. And if it is a long survey, sometimes they may want to stop and then come back and resume. If it is a short survey, you don't have to allow that. So you can leave it as a no. Sometimes, depending upon the answer to one question, we can show certain other questions. So branching of questions is possible. We want to keep the survey very simple, so we keep it as no there. Okay, auto numbering, etc. we leave it as default, and this is not an exam, it's only a survey, so we don't have any grade there. If you have already some survey created in any other course, you can borrow that and click on that and borrow that, but we are going to illustrate how to make it, so we don't do that, we create a new one. Okay, the rest of the things are by and large not to be edited. So we say yes, click it, and the feedback is ready. Now the very first time if you click, it goes and asks you to add questions, and you can do that. So here is where we can choose different types of questions. So let us just give some questions just to see how that comes out. The very first one is label. That's very simple because it's actually not a question, it is basically a placeholder. So label 1. Okay, so we can say the first set of questions here, and you could have one more label. Second set of questions here. So you can see that there are two of these placeholders, and we can move them up and down using this button, and have all the questions neatly organized. The checkboxes can be very useful, so we pick that as a question type and we say Q1, and here we can choose whether the response is compulsory or not. Very often it's a good idea to just leave it as no, because if the students do not wish to give any response, they then leave it out. And if there are, let us say, n number of check boxes, let us say 5, you may want to say they should at least pick 2 out of 5. So that is where the min and max are. So we can say that if you choose not to pick any, that's fine, but you cannot choose, let us say, more than 2. Okay, and we have to give some description. We can say pick the options to be exercised during this course evaluation, let us say, and here is where we are supposed to give the answers. So these are the various options. So here we would say like this, let us say here surprise quizzes, okay, assignments, okay, presentations, okay, and demonstrations, programming exercises, okay, so some items that we have put in, save. Now how does it appear? So that is something that we can see by clicking on the preview here. So when you click on the preview, it will show here, and you can actually see whether the options that you gave are working or not. So we said only 2 should be picked up, so I will pick 3 of them and see if I can submit, and you see that there is an error. Okay, and the error is that for this question you must tick a maximum of 2 boxes. So then I edit it and submit, and then it is accepted. Okay, so that means that the configuration that we have given, how many items can be picked for this question, is working out. So go back to the questions here, and we can then move it around. So we move, click here, and we will place that label here. Okay, so you could see that the labels can be moved around. Now the next type of question that we want to pick is drop down. Okay, this is question 2, and again some description. So we would say pick one of the options listed for the topic which you find most challenging. Okay, so that we want to see which one of the topics should we basically do the discussion in a more detailed manner. So we can then give some options. Let us say Ellingham diagram, let us say chemical potential, or Gibbs-Duhem equation, Gibbs phase rule, and so on. Okay, now what happens, you can just see in the preview. So it appears like that. So they can only pick one. Okay, they can only pick one, whereas here they can pick multiple. So the check boxes are when they can pick multiple options. The drop down is when they can pick just one option. So go to the questions again, and you can go to the radio buttons. Radio buttons is very similar to the drop down box. It's just that in the drop down you can only scroll through after you click, whereas in radio buttons they are all visible immediately. So we set that question here. So pick the topic you find most difficult in this course till now, and then we say topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. And how does it appear? Go to preview and see here, they're all appearing here. Now there is one more option which says no answer. The reason we have that is because we have allowed this question as a optional question. They don't have to answer. So when they don't pick anything, the option they have chosen is basically no answer. Of course, they can then pick any of the 3 options that they like to submit. Go back to the questions. Now let us say we have sort of decided that this is enough for these questions, and we are done with the survey and close. Now the survey is saved. So if we then again open, what happens is that it is asking us to answer the questions, and where is the link to change the questions. So for that, what we do is that we go back and click on that, come here and say edit the settings questions. So for that item, now we get the menu again to change the questions. So sometimes when we have a second thought and want to add a question or two again, we can come back and edit the survey even though the survey is already in progress. Okay, and we can now again decide to move this label below. Click on that and we want to move that label, for example, here. Okay, so we have moved the label here, the bottom. Now the next choice would be, for example, date. So the date field can be used to pick the date for a particular assessment, for example. So we can say pick the date for presentations from students after submission of assignment. Okay, done. Now in the preview you can see that it appears like this, and they can actually pick the date using the calendar itself. So they can go to the next month and pick, and that would be accepted. Okay, so come back to the questions, and there is one of the question types called numeric, and here we can actually decide how many digits we can allow them to enter, and that is often useful in asking the students about the weightage for an assessment module. There is one question type that is called rate in the bracket scale 1 to 5, where we can ask the student preference between two extremes, and the scale can be actually expanded beyond 5 also. We can say, for example, 1 is least preferable, 5 is most preferable, and so on. And the average response of the entire class will be shown as a marker between the two numbers 1 and 5, so we can see which way the whole class is tilted, which of the options the whole class is preferring. Yes or no is a question type where we would like to seek the majority opinion in a very restricted manner, where we have to, for example, take a decision and we do not want any fuzziness about the answer. Text box is a feature where we can ask the students for a brief opinion, where they can just write one single line of text. And essay box is for free format text, where we can ask for opinions from the students, and they can write multiple lines. We could also restrict how many lines that can be, and this is where the openness of the feedback can be exploited. Next item we want to choose is numeric. So numeric type of a question would be, for example, a number that we want to seek from them. Let us say what percentage of the end semester should be numerical. Okay, it's some feedback that we want to use while preparing the end semester examination paper. So here we may want to have it compulsory that they have to say something, let us say, and we can say that we will take only 2 digits and no decimal places, and we say give an integer between say 15 and 30 for the marks in end semester exam to be numerical. Okay, and click on that yes, save, go to preview, and you could see that here you have a small box, and I'll try to type the numbers 1, 2. I can't type 3 because only 2 digits are allowed. Okay, now let us say I am typing A1 and click on submit. You see that there is some problem and it says A1 is not a number. So it does check whether what you have given is a number or not. Okay, and of course it doesn't check the range because the range is put up in a plain text, so you could actually give any number and that would be accepted. So go back to the questions and let us say rating scale. This is particularly useful to see which way the students are tilted for a particular opinion. So let us pick a rating question, optional, and number of scale items is 5. So we can say that rate your preference for the following aspects of the course with the convention of 1 for strongly disagree and let us say 3 for neutral and 5 for strongly agree. So they understand that 2 would be just disagree and 4 would be just agree. Okay, and what are those aspects? We can list them here. So we could say, for example, pace of the course is acceptable to me. Next would be, let us say, weekly quizzes help me in learning, and then let us say my doubts have been answered in the discussion sessions. Okay, save changes and go to preview. You will see that it appears in this manner. Okay, so there are these 5 radio buttons. You could click one of them. So let us say we are already saying here that 1 for strongly disagree. So the student feels that the pace is not acceptable. So 1. Weekly quizzes help me in learning. I don't know. So neutral. And my doubts have been answered in the discussions. Well, yes, but not so great. So 4. So like this, the students will be giving their scores from 1 to 5, and when they finish, we can see which way they are treated. Anything above 3 means they agree with all the things that we have listed here. Below 3 means they disagree. How much towards the left and how much towards the right tells us which way the whole class is swinging. Okay, so let us go to the other question type, which is basically yes or no. And this is basically Boolean, which means that it is meant to ask in a very restrictive manner something about the course. Okay, so let us pick that question. Let us say question 9, and we want to leave it as open without making it compulsory, and let the question be like this: would you take this course if it were an elective? Okay, and if the course was actually a core course and you ask this question, the answers that students give could give you a surprise, but it's okay. Let us ask and see. Preview. You can see how it looks like. Would you take this course if it were an elective? Yes or no? I don't want to answer that question. Okay. So if you make it compulsory, the third option won't be there. So let us try that out. Let us see how it works. Go to the questions and edit by clicking here and make it as compulsory. Save. Go to preview, and you would see that the third option is removed. So they have to say yes or no. It's a star. Now without clicking anything, if I try to submit, that would be an error too, because we have not given any options. So we have to say something, and here we have to give some number. So now only then it accepts. Okay, so the green message there says that the behavior of the form is as per what we originally intended. Now there are 2 things that we can use to elicit open feedback. So one is the text box, which basically is a 1 line, and we can say a question like that, optional, and how long the box should be. So 50 characters long. Okay, let us say, or 5. Okay, here we could just say that what do you expect from this course? Okay, something like that. Go to the preview, and you would see that there is a small box. What do you want to expect? So it will get filled, but you could keep typing. The number of characters that you can type is 25, but the width that is shown is 5. So we can go and fine tune it. For example, go to the questions and edit that and say it should show me upfront 50 characters, and it should allow me to type, let us say, 256 characters. Just save and look at the preview. You could see that it's a long box, but it allows me to type much beyond the box. Okay, so you can just basically use this to hint that you are expecting just one line from the students about it. Okay, expect very less from this course. And the last question would be an essay box. Okay, this is where they can write a lot. So pick that question, type, and how many lines. So that again is a hint how much they can write. Okay, let us say 10 lines. And something that you can say here is like this: what are you planning to do towards this course? And they may want to list various things that they want to do. So look at the preview, and it looks like this. You know, they can type a lot. They can type with the bulleted items. I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's a good idea to ask both these things: what do you expect from this course and what are you planning to do about this course? Both are important. And now you can see that we have got a survey that is set up, so the students can take it up and submit, and you will get the responses in a collated manner and in a summary sheet. Now that appearance is something that I can illustrate from one of the other surveys I have taken. So this is how the survey output looks like, and when you ask the open type questions, they write something, and you can read and see that some of them are very expressive, and when there are options, then they would come as bars, etc. In this particular survey, I have not asked those. I have asked only text based ones, open type survey. So I have got all the text, and these are all listed as responses: response 1, 2, 3, etc. And when I click each of those responses, I actually don't have information about who responded like that. You can see here it says anonymous. I go to the next respondent, it says anonymous, which means that the setting of the respondent name to be anonymous is working out quite well. Now it's important that we show this to the students so that they can give their feedback confidently. So with that, we complete the use of Moodle for both assignments as well as for feedback. I hope you would try this out in the upcoming course using our Institute Moodle. Have fun.